Welcome to another episode of the Gull-Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton Hove Albion, Crawley Town and Sport in Sussex. I'm Matt Pole, and this week I'm joined by Brighton Hove Albion writers Derren and Sam Morton and Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford. The Seagulls advanced to the fourth round of this season's FA Cup with an excellent 4-2 victory at Championship outfit Stoke City. Brighton fell behind at the Bet365 at Purvis Estupiñán's thunderbolt, Lewis Dunk's imperious header, and another brace for the red-hot João Pedro saw the Seagulls advance to the next round. We'll pick over the bones of Albion's FA Cup win and take a look at all the latest goings on at Crawley Town. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at SussexWorld.co.uk/sport, and you can check out other great videos on shopstv.com and Freeview channel 276. But as mentioned at the top of the show, Albion moved into the fourth round of the FA Cup after that excellent win at Stoke. Sum that game up for us, please, Derren.
Yeah, I think you're right, Matt. It was an excellent victory, and a solid performance from Brighton. They played well, and they needed to really against a Stoke team that had been on a pretty decent run under their new manager. Beforehand, De Zerbi called for a real professional performance and wanted his team to sort of play as though it was a Europa League game and a Premier League game, and I think for the most part they did that. He would have been happy with how they set up, the commitment that they showed, and he put a strong team out as well, which I think sort of shows their intention to go far into the FA Cup this season. And I really liked it. I thought it was a good performance. Van Hecker, I thought he was really good. He's had such a good season this year, and I really liked the way he went forward at the end as well to tee up João Pedro's goal. It's something that he's brought into his game lately as well, where he runs, where he's getting into more advanced positions as well. And for a centre-back, that's really useful asset. So really pleased for him. Pascal Gross was brilliant, of course, as he always is. A couple of really nice assists for him. And then Pedro, as you say, he's the man in form at the moment. So two really good goals from him. Another great goal for Estupiñán. And it's I think De Zerbi said afterwards as well that it was a case of if you get a draw here, you're going to be preparing to face Stoke. If you win, you're going to be in Dubai warm weather training for a week. So I think that was the main incentive for Brighton, and it got them over the line by the looks of it.
João Pedro's double at the Bet365 took him to 15 goals for the season. Of Premier League players, only Erling Haaland and Mo Salah, with 19 and 18 goals respectively, have scored more in all competitions this season. The stats show, Sam, that João Pedro is obviously having a wonderful season, but has his form taken you by surprise? I must admit, I didn't think that he would have this kind of return when he signed in the summer.
Yeah, no, I must admit, I'm also quite surprised, really. I think it was a great signing, and there was potential there, 100%. I think we looked at his form for Watford in the Championship, and he scored a few goals there. And obviously, we knew that he was very young and he had some raw talent that Brighton could develop. But I certainly didn't think it would happen so quickly. And he's obviously been brilliant from the penalty spot, one of the best penalty takers I've seen for a long, long time. You almost feel like he's never going to miss a penalty with the way that he takes them. It's so composed, and he seems to always send the keeper the wrong way. And now he's adding goals from open play to that as well. I think he's been really good in the air. He's got a fantastic header against Stoke. And as Derren mentioned, a pretty simple finish, but it was kind of a poacher's goal, I guess. He was in the right place at the right time. So he's showing those striking instincts as well to get in and around the box and to finish off those flowing moves. And it's been brilliant for Brighton. I think the only concern that the more goals he scores and the more that he impresses, the more likely that his head might be turned, and big clubs will come in for him. And I think De Zerbi has even admitted himself it might be tough to play be his manager for another season. So I think he implied like there's going to be some interest in the summer for the Brazilian, but hopefully they can keep hold of him for as long as they can. And obviously he's been prolific in the Europa League as well. He's still the top scorer in that competition. So hopefully he can keep that going in the knockout rounds, and we can see him for much longer at Brighton yet.
Have we heard any potential rumours about João Pedro potentially catching the eye of other clubs, Sam?
I don't think anything concrete just yet. I think it's all kind of hearsay, I guess. I don't think we've heard any, as I say, concrete rumours anyone's going to be in for him. But I think it's just the concern that the longer that this run goes on and the more goals he scores, that eventually these big teams are going to stump up some cash for him. So I don't think there's been anything concrete and anything of concern to Brighton just yet.
Well, post-match, after the win at Stoke, Roberto De Zerbi made quite the revealing admission that he didn't know who João Pedro was when the club spent a record £30 million on the Brazilian in the summer. How surprised were you when you heard this from De Zerbi, Derren? I must admit, I was very shocked that he had no idea who he was.
Yeah, I saw these quotes come out. Yeah, it's hard to know what to make of that, really. Yeah, I was in a press conference towards the start of the season, and De Zerbi said that he'd actually pushed for his signing. So yeah, I'm not really sure. It sort of contradicts what he said earlier in the season. So, but yeah, one thing's for sure, it really has. And yeah, as you mentioned earlier, only Salah and Haaland have more goals in all competitions this season. He's a leading scorer in Europa League with 6 as well, ahead of Aubameyang and Lukaku as well. So yeah, 30 million looks a great deal. And as you say, I think Brighton's main challenge would be keeping hold of him in the summer. But yeah, whatever happens, I think a good signing, 30 million, and his value has certainly skyrocketed since then. So another great piece of business for Brighton.
Well, speaking of recruitment, Albion looks set to complete a move for Boca Juniors teenage left-back Valentin Barco. Sam Morton, could you give us a lowdown, please, on the Argentinian, and how do you see him fitting into Roberto De Zerbi's squad at present?
Yeah, it's another very exciting, typical Brighton signing. I would say, really, they're renowned for signing these young players from South America, as they did with Moises Caicedo and Pervis Estupiñán, and obviously Alexis McAllister was from that neck of the woods as well. So they have got history for doing this, and I think the more successful they are at picking these players up and developing them into top talents and selling them on, the more attractive Brighton comes, and the more players that would like to come and play for them. And I think this is another example of that, really. So, yeah, as you say, Barco's a 19-year-old that can play either left back or in midfield. So he can provide a bit of competition for Estupiñán at left back, whilst also being versatile. And as we've seen this season, versatility is so important to Brighton, really. When you consider players like Pascal Gross, who could play pretty much anywhere. Jack Hinchelwood has played in a number of different positions. And with the injuries they've had, it's so important that they have these players that can really step in wherever, really, and really make a difference. But I think we've heard some reports from South American football expert Tim Vickery that he's not at all like Estupiñán. He said he's very different. All they have in common is their left foot. But Estupiñán is an imposing physical kind of player, whereas Barco is kind of a tiny figure. I think he described him, and he actually says he's a little red-headed flea, which was quite funny. Yeah, obviously it sounds like he might be a bit of a nuisance to attackers, and he can impose a threat going forward as well. So he's definitely really, really exciting for Brighton, really, and we hopefully that he can make an instant impression and play lots of games this season and going forward. And as I say, he's only 19, so plenty of time to progress and to learn from the experienced players in the squad as well.
If any of you would like to call me the long-haired little flea in future, by all means do, because that sounds like a cracking nickname. Derren, considering the mounting injury list, I know when Brighton tend to sign players, they kind of bed them in. But do you think because of the injury list at the moment, he will probably be thrown in at the deep end, Barco?
It could potentially, but I think it may take a little while to settle. With the players that Brighton have got coming back, Estupiñán is now sort of back on that left flank, and but he provides another option, so he could be introduced slowly. I'd imagine throwing him in straight from the start would be quite tough, coming from Boca Juniors and not really settling in and knowing the system. De Zerbi likes to bed players in first of all and get them used to how they play, like he has done with Billy Gilmore, Igor as well. He's taken a while to settle in as well, and Belieber. So I think there will be a bedding in process first, but yeah, I think he certainly will provide an option for the second half of the season, particularly if Mitoma as well, who plays on that left flank, he's injured at the moment and also at the Asian Cup, so there could be an opportunity there to introduce him slowly on that left flank, whilst Mitoma's away, and if he does continue having these injury issues when he gets back.
I should also add as well that I've read him. Sorry, Matt. I was going to say I should also add that I've seen a report from Transfermarkt that he's very similar to Marcelo, Valentin Barco. So he's got a brilliant left foot and can get excellent crosses into the box. And I think with João Pedro being prolific in the air of late, that could be a real bonus as well. So as I say, he can potentially be a real threat going forward as well as defensively. But I think he's playing with the Argentina under-23s at the moment in preparation for the Olympic qualifying tournament as well. So I think that's coming up on the January the 20th. So it sounds like he's going to get some playing time at a decent level as well before he joins up with the Brighton team.
Well, if he's been likened to Marcelo, I'm sure he's probably got a yellow card on him, but we'll probably wait and see how it is. Going back to matters on the pitch, Brighton have been drawn away to Premier League strugglers Sheffield United in the fourth round of the FA Cup. The fourth round matches will take place over the weekend of January 27th and 28th. How do you view that draw, Derren? Good for them or potential banana skin?
That would be a good one to throw Barco into, wouldn't it? Just to see how he copes in the Premier League, in a place like that. But I imagine it'd be a tough one. There were a few groans, I imagine, when that draw came out. It's not one to really get the pulses racing on a January afternoon, and it's sort of another long trip for the fans up there. But having said that, it's a good chance for Albion. Many of the big teams are playing each other in other ties as well. So if Albion can really produce another good performance and get through, the draw could really open up for them quite nicely. So it's not the most glamorous of draws, but it's a decent chance for Albion to progress. And I saw an interview with Lewis Dunk as well, and he spoke about the importance of wanting to make up for that semi-final loss to Man United last season. And it's a competition that Brighton really sort of want to take seriously and go far into this competition. So a good chance for them. But as you say, it's going to be on the end of January, and it's quite a tight period for them because they've got Wolves on the 22nd and then Luton away on the 30th. So it's going to be sandwiched in between those two games. So it's going to add to a congestion. But they should be okay. They've been sunning it in Dubai for all week. So it's hard to feel too sorry for them, really. So I think they should be okay. Yeah.
It's all right for some, innit, Derren? It's all right.
Yeah, they're doing it. Yeah. It's not a bad one for them.
Very quickly, Sam, thanks to the win in the Potteries, Seagulls now 15 days until the next fixture, which is on the 22nd of January when they host Wolves. How vital will this rest period be for Albion? I bet De Zerbi's over the moon.
Yes, no, absolutely. He must be thrilled with that, really. I think they've had such a hectic fixture list and they've had to rotate the squad constantly and constantly have to deal with injuries. Every game, seemingly, someone else is not able to play. And they've had very limited time, I think, to actually address some of the issues on the pitch. And I think they've obviously had some frailties defensively, but not had much time to really work on that on the training ground and to try and iron out some of those issues. And I think having this extended break to work on these things really and to practice certain moves that could work in games and different routines that we've seen, I think, recently. And I think that can only be of a benefit, really. And it also gives a chance for some of these players to get some rest as well and get their match fitness back up.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, chaps. When we take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk all things Crawley Town. Crawley Town have enjoyed a funny old week, I think it's safe to say. On Saturday, they scored twice in stoppage time to clinch a dramatic 4-2 win at Bradford. The visitors had been trailing 2-1 before Adam Campbell's 85th minute equaliser. They went on to complete a remarkable comeback as Delano Orsi scored his second goal of the game from the penalty spot, and then substitute Clyde Lolos made it a 6-goal thriller at the death. It was some game, Mark. Try and sum that for us, please.
Yeah, well, I felt sorry for you having to do the report, Matt. You probably had it all written at 85 minutes to Crawley lose at Bradford. But incredible, really. I mean, Scott Lindsay said after the game that he said before the game to all his staff and that he's always had good results there. And we mentioned last week that Crawley hadn't lost in 8 league games to Bradford, home and away. So it's not. I wasn't surprised by the result, but the manner of the result is incredible, really, because apparently by all accounts they weren't at their best for 85 minutes. But as soon as they went 2-1 down, not 85 minutes, but when they went 2-1 down, they started playing and they started to relax apparently, and that's how they got it. And then they got the equaliser, and then there was a 10 or 11 minutes added time, and they just took advantage in that, and they just punished Bradford, who were then chasing the game themselves. And the fourth goal was a lovely goal. Just Liam Kelly, I think, getting his 7th or 8th assist of the season, just laying off to Clyde Lolos, who smashed in the roof of the net. But another great result, and great start to the new year. It's been fantastic, and a couple of really good goals. The first goal, Danilo Orsi's one. I think it was Liam Kelly slipped Nick Cerula through on the left, and he crossed it in. Orsi header from close range. And in the preview to the Peterborough game, which we will come on to soon, Lindsay was saying that he was really pleased that in the last 3 games they've scored 3 identical goals, but involving 8 different players. So, and it's the slip inside the fullbacks, cross in, somebody's to tap home or header home. And he's just saying that it just shows how good this squad is and how they've taken on his sort of philosophy and how that he wants them to play. They're all taking it on. Whoever they bring in, Jack Rolls, Clyde Lolos, or Liam Kelly, Nick Cerula, and all that. They all know what they're doing when they come into this starting 11. And it's fantastic to see. I mean, obviously he said that now, so teams are going to work out how to stop it probably. But fantastic result, and they're now only off the playoffs on goal difference, which is an incredible achievement. It really is.
Orsi's brace at Bradford took his tally to 4 in 2 games for 2024, and remarkably, the Red Striker currently has the same goal tally as Kylian Mbappe so far this season. Just how vital was the 27-year-old been to the good work that Crawley have done so far this season?
Really important, and I must admit, when I first saw him, I wasn't completely convinced, and I don't know if that was him just settling into the system and that. But his goal scoring record in the last, certainly in the last month, has been amazing. He's got 13 in all competitions now, and he said that at the beginning of the year he was 1 in 3, and he had a real focus. And he's been working with Carl Larriman, the former Arsenal coaches at Crawley this year, and he wanted to get to 1 in 2, and he's done that so far. And he's just really good. There's some games he's frustrated. Sometimes he looks a little bit left up on his own when Crawley are playing more defensively and that. But and I think it was the Wimbledon game, Sam, you were there for this one. I think there was a couple of times where he got chances and he just snatched at them and he sort of scuffed them, and it was a bit frustrating. But since the turn of the year, he has been clinical and fantastic. And Scott Lindsay just loves him. He just works so hard. That's one thing. Although I wasn't convinced at the beginning, he never stops running. He covers every blade of grass. He's just chasing everything down. Crawley plays such a pressing game that they need energetic players that are going to just push that last defender, push the goalkeeper in on the ball, and Orsi does that fantastically. And he's a great thing. But it's amazing, really, because you look at his record. He hasn't played many seasons in the Football League, but he's played for Harrogate and he's played for Grimsby, and he hasn't scored more than 2 goals in a season. He was at Grimsby last year. Obviously, they got relegated last year. Did they get relegated last year? No.
I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. That's still in it. Sorry. Apologies. But he only scored 2 goals playing in 24 games and that. And I think people did question when he joined, but his goal scoring record this year is fantastic. And he's a vital part of that thing. But I do think they need support in that area. If he gets injured, I don't know who steps in that sort of central focal point up front.
You've mentioned it here. The Reds were due to visit Peterborough United, excuse me, in the EFL Trophy on Wednesday evening, but it descended into farce, didn't it, Mark? Could you please explain the situation surrounding the game and why were so many travelling Crawley fans left annoyed?
I think annoyed is an understatement.
Yes.
Yeah, it was bizarre because yesterday, me and you, you were mainly all over it kind of thing. But there was obviously it's very cold and pitches are going to be frozen. And at 12:30, there was a pitch inspection. It was then recommended that it was a further inspection at 2:30. And when I heard it, I know I had a discussion with you and I said, well, it's going to be off then because it's not going to get any warmer from 2:30. And the temperature's going to stay this cold. So what's the point kind of thing? But they said it was on and it was like, okay, fair enough. So everybody started travelling, left about 3 o'clock, got up there. And I've seen comments from Crawley fans who were literally stepping off the train at Peterborough Station when they got the notification at 6:26 p.m. that it was called off the actual match referee, because it was a local referee earlier in the day who was doing the inspection in conjunction with the EFL. And then the match referee turned up and was like, no, you're not playing on that. So it was absolute farce. I mean, I was with some friends last night, and one of them he does his own football podcast and that. And he was saying just football, because I was with him when the news came in, and he just said the authorities just do not care about the fans. They don't take them into consideration whatsoever. And Peterborough's statement was quite interesting. They said the football club requested a pitch inspection at 12 over concerns, playing surface, and the EFL arranged for an official to come to the stadium. And then again, the same official inspected the pitch at 2:30 and deemed the pitch playable. The match referee then on arrival expressed his concerns and then just decided to call the game. So you have to question what was going on in those conversations with the local referee and the EFL kind of thing. I know they want to get these games played, but you don't want to be. Yeah, I mean, all it takes is a quick turn and that twisted ankles, players out for the season, ACLs on a hard surface, getting your foot stuck on the. Yeah, ridiculous that it was even considered. And I've seen a couple of pictures of Scott Lindsay at the ground. He does not look happy. And I'm hoping to speak to him today to get his reaction for it. So we'll see what he has to say about it.
Well, speaking of Scott Lindsay, I think I'm correct in saying that this week marks his 1 year anniversary at Crawley Town.
It's this today, January the 11th, is the year anniversary, and we've done a big interview in this week's Crawley Observer with him, and it's going online today as well, and a video interview as well about his time and how proud he is of what he's achieved at the club, and he should be very proud because to be where they are now from where they were at this point last year is chalk and cheese. It's amazing.
Very quickly, Mark, Salford at home on Saturday for Crawley. They've got appointed a new boss, ex-Charlton and Oxford manager Carl Robinson. How do you see this one going? I've not really been following Salford, but they normally quite high flying, and their league standing is that a little bit deceptive. I think they're fourth from bottom. Is that right? Yeah,
they're really struggling, and they're one of those teams because they've obviously got the class of '92 or whatever. Sorry, not 92 at all, is it? Or is it? Yeah, it is 92. Yeah. Sorry, they've got loads of money and they're always predicted to be up there, sort of challenging for promotion, playoffs, and that. I think they've got the playoffs once or twice, but they always seem to underachieve. And this year they've been awful. And I mean, Crawley should go into this game thinking they should be able to carry on their unbeaten run in the league in 2024. I can't see anything other than a Crawley winner. Touch wood.
We will see. Quickly going to score predictions. There's only one game for us to predict this week. It's Crawley against Salford. So, Mark, you're pretty confident of a Crawley win. How do you see it going?
3-0 Crawley. Danilo Orsi getting another brace, sprinting past Mbappe in that scorer's list.
Sam Morton, you agree, Mark? Crawley win?
Yeah. I'm going to go for 2-0 Crawley. Yeah, I think Crawley will win this one. As Mark says, Salford is really struggling. So, 2-0 Crawley.
Derren, are we going for a clean sweep of Crawley wins?
I am. Yeah, the push continues for the playoffs. I think I'll go with a 2-0 as well. I think I'll join Sam with a 2-0.
Excellent. Well, we'll see. Well, before we wrap up, we'd like to extend our best of luck to Horsham, who played Peterborough Sports on Saturday in the FA Trophy. It is their first ever match in the last 32 of the competition. Best of luck to the Hornets. You can see all the reaction next week at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Well, thank you very much for joining us this week, chaps. You can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk, and you can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all next week.